So it's the beginning of June, and we're in the middle of recording our EP, and we recently played a show at the end of May. And since then, I haven't even been in here because it's a wreck. What the fuck? It's worse than I thought. Jesus. I know I said I was working on a drum tracking video, and I am, but I can't even finish that video until I deal with all this. And honestly, this is probably a more accurate representation of what it's like being in a band. Not the finished videos or being on stage or the finished mixes, just all the shit in between. Piles of gear, half-finished projects, and just trying to figure out what needs to happen next. Right now, the entire band is waiting on me to finish tracking our EP, and we can't do that until I get my studio back in order. Initially, the plan was to track drums at a studio, like normal people, but schedules got complicated, budgets got complicated, and life happened. So instead, we turned my studio / our silent rehearsal room into a drum room. I'll talk more about the whole process in the drum tracking video, but luckily I had all my old studio gear. I have 2 old M-Audio Profire 2626s and like a 2011 iMac, stuff that surprisingly still worked like flawlessly. One thing some of you noticed, we actually tracked a lot of our guitars before we tracked drums, which is completely backwards, or at least backwards compared to how a lot of albums are recorded. But because of how we handle pre-production, it doesn't really matter how we track it. Before we ever start on an album, we essentially have a fully completed pre-production demo, with arrangements done, scratch tracks done, the songs are done. The album basically already exists in a project. All we're doing is going in and replacing temporary tracks with the final performance and the gear that we want to use. So in a weird way, we're building the album at least twice, once in pre-production and then once again during the actual recording. If anyone is interested in this process, let us know in the comments and I can walk through the whole thing. Somewhere in the middle of this, we booked a show. We finished tracking drums and tore down the whole drum setup. I had to take gear out of my studio for our live rig. We ended up playing an awesome show. I ended up taking a couple of days off with the family and we got a puppy. But now we're here, trying to get this back in working order. But with all this being said, we're going to start doing more video content again, in a slightly different format. We're a band and musicians first, but we also enjoy documenting the process. And, well, content equals visibility. We're going to focus more on being a band, like what and why we do things in the studio, the equipment we own and why, the visions and planning for a release before we even start, how we dial in tones, maybe show vlogs, and something a lot of people have asked me about, my ESP and LTD collection. I'm a huge ESP and LTD fan, and, well, I own a lot of instruments. My collection isn't that crazy compared to a lot of people's, but to me, it's pretty fucking awesome. If you like ESPs and LTDs, there's probably going to be a lot of videos with them. Well, there will be a lot of videos with them. We're also bringing back Votan's What's in the Box series. It's been 4 years since our last one, and I've acquired a ton of gear, and I'm tired of trying to keep it a secret. But Votan still has no idea what's in the box. More on that in another video. For now, though, I need to get this room back in order. We still have some guitars to finish, bass to track, vocals, synths, editing, mixing, and somewhere underneath all of this, there's an EP trying to get finished. But that's what's happening behind the existence.